What up, everybody? You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, we're going to go through 5 free agents that the New York Giants could sign. The Giants Wire, a really good Giants content creator website, came up with 5 free agents the Giants could sign. We'll talk about those 5 guys, and I'll give you my opinion on them if they make any sense in today's video. The first one that they had listed was Rock Ya-Sin, the cornerback. Outside corner, big, strong, physical corner, played for the Las Vegas Raiders last year, previously with the Indianapolis Colts. Didn't live up to the hype with the Raiders, and that's kind of why all these guys are still free agents at this point. But there's no denying that the Giants need another cornerback on this roster. That's why there's been so much talk about the Giants selecting one in round 1. But maybe the Giants want to go the veteran route and add a guy like Rock Ya-Sin because they are pretty young still at the cornerback position. Outside of Adoree Jackson, and I guess you could say Darnay Holmes at this point, all of these guys are still really young corners. Aaron Robinson, he's going to be entering year 3 of his NFL career, but he didn't play in year 2. He's coming back from an injury. Cordell Flott is entering year 2, and I'm expecting him to compete to be that CB2 on this roster. Then you got like a Nick McLeod. Then you have Amani Oruwariye. He's going to have to fight to make this roster. So you definitely have a need at that second cornerback position. When you look at what Rock Ya-Sin does, he does somewhat fit the New York Giants needs. He's a big, strong, physical corner, can play a little bit of press man coverage, but he's more of an off-man corner, I would say. He allowed 31 receptions this year for 323 yards, just 1 touchdown and a completion percentage of 58.5, which honestly is pretty good. And when you look at how PFF evaluated his year this year, last year, with the Las Vegas Raiders, by PFF standards, he was average. I mean, anything above 70, I would say, for PFF is pretty damn good, and that's why I think 65 is decent, 65 coverage, and then for tackling, he's not much of a tackler, but not a bad tackler by any means, but that's not one of the most important skills for a corner. Another corner that has been linked to the Giants a lot is Marcus Peters, and we've talked about him a bunch on this channel. Bleacher Report just put out an article, 1 free agent every team should sign, and that was Marcus Peters for the New York Giants. So if you had to pick one of these guys, is it Marcus Peters and the connection to Wink Martindale, their days in Baltimore? Is it Rock Ya-Sin? Pick one of these corners down below in the comment section. Another D lineman that I think, as well as the Giants Wire thinks the Giants could be interested in, is A'Shawn Robinson. Obviously, the Giants met with A'Shawn Robinson early on in NFL free agency. It didn't amount to anything at the current moment, but that does not mean the door is closed on a signing or potential deal with A'Shawn Robinson. Sometimes you bring these guys in prior to the NFL draft, and you're like, stay by your phone. If you're still a free agent after the NFL draft, we'll have a better understanding of what this roster needs. And that's what I think is going to happen with a guy like A'Shawn Robinson as well as Deion Jones. The Giants know they have to beef up still the interior part of that defensive line. And if they're unable to get a guy they like in the NFL draft, they could revisit A'Shawn Robinson. I love the inside of this line. I love Leonard Williams. I love Dexter Lawrence. I like Jihad Warden. I like Raheem Nunez-Roches. But you still need another guy at that spot. You need a rotation because you don't want Dexter Lawrence playing 90% of snaps again, and you don't want to run Leonard Williams into the ground as he is getting older in the National Football League. A'Shawn Robinson is one of the best run-stuffing defensive tackles in the National Football League. 42 tackles last year, 67 the year before that. 2 tackles for loss in each of the last 2 seasons. 3 QB hits last year, 2 the year before that, and 2 sacks. He's not a pass rusher by any stretch of the imagination. He is a big body, as Dave Gettleman would say, a hog molly, someone that's going to take up a lot of blocks and make it easier on the linebackers behind you. Bobby Okereke and Jared Davis would love to play behind a guy like A'Shawn Robinson. Another player that could be linked to the Giants is Dalton Risner, the interior offensive lineman. He was a former pick of the Denver Broncos. The Giants could look to add more of a veteran piece to their interior offensive line, as they do still have some young bucks like Joshua Ezeudu and Marcus McKeithen on this interior. When you look at what Risner did last year for the Denver Broncos, Pro Football Focus graded him out at a 61 overall, a better pass blocker than run blocker, graded fairly well in that spot. But it's just like, do the Giants need another guard. Your thought process here would be, do you want to depend on Joshua Ezeudu, the second-year player out of North Carolina, a former top 100 pick coming off a season-ending injury? You're hoping he can play. You don't pick someone in the top 100 of the NFL draft if you don't expect them to be a starter down the line. And I think that would be best-case scenario for the Giants, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. You need these draft picks to play. Risner could be a backup option. Maybe you're wanting a more savvy veteran on that spot, especially if you're going to bring in a young center to start there. And you could have Risner be the, kind of the pro and the vet and the mentor in that guard spot with Golowinski on the other side and a rookie in the middle. It makes some sense, but I want to see what Joshua Ezeudu has at that spot. Former top 100 pick. It's time for him to become a player. Hopefully he bounces back from this injury and he can be your starting guard for the next 8-10 years in the NFL. We got two more guys we're going to talk about coming up in a second. But first, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I want to say thank you to everybody that has hit that big red button because we just crossed over 27 freaking thousand subs here on the channel. We did it for Brandon Jacobs. So thank you guys. I love the support you guys show. It's incredible to see how fast this channel continues to grow, but we ain't stopping there. 28,000 subs. We're coming for you. Sub for Giants Dubs. The NFL draft is also right around the corner, and you should get your NFL draft hats. They got two styles over at chatsports.com/NYG draft hat. You could get the gray or silver, whatever color you want to call it, flat brim hat. They also have the dad curved bill hat, which I am actually more of a fan of. They got the blue, they got the gray, they got them flat, they got them curved, fitted, snapback, whatever style you are, we've got it for you. Go to chatsports.com/NYG draft hat. That link's in the comments and description of today's show. I thought this one was very, very interesting by the Giants wire. They listed Jarvis Landry as a potential free agent target, and it's definitely spicy. It's a spicy one, no doubt about it. How funny would it be to not sign Odell Beckham Jr. and then sign his best friend, Jarvis Landry? The thing for me is I don't really see a need for Jarvis Landry on this team anymore. I think the Giants have plenty of veteran slot receivers. Sterling Shepard, Jamison Crowder, I think both those guys are honestly better than Jarvis Landry at this point. And I still want snaps for Wan'Dale Robinson, former second-round pick out of Kentucky last year. I like Landry. I think he's had a good NFL career. I think he's a good guy. I just don't really know if there's a spot on this team for him anymore. Even Paris Campbell predominantly plays out of the slot. At least he did last year with Indy. I think he'll play more of an outside role with Big Blue this year. Landry has kind of fallen off a cliff as well. The last 2 years, he didn't even play a full season, barely half a season. Last year, only 25 catches in 9 games played. He's a veteran. He knows the NFL. He's talented. He's a good slot receiver. I just personally don't think it makes much sense anymore. Look, if you want to take a 1-year veteran minimum deal and fight to make this roster, sure, we could bring in Jarvis Landry. But to be honest with you, I would be typing my P in the comment section right now for pass. I'm good on Landry. I want to see what Crowder, Shepard, and Wan'Dale Robinson as well as Paris Campbell have in the slot. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you want to bring the Bayou Bengal, the LSU Tiger, Jarvis Landry to New York. Do you? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Let me know. The last player that the Giants wire had linked to the Giants at NFL free agency is Zach Cunningham, the linebacker formerly of the Tennessee Titans. And before that, the Houston Texans. So when you look at what the Giants have right now in the cupboard at the inside linebacker spot, sure, they could use another guy right now, right? Bobby Okereke, no doubt, is going to be your linebacker one and your Mike linebacker. You brought back Jared Davis as well, started the last couple of games for you last year. You're hoping Darian Beavers, former 6th-round pick out of Cincinnati, I want to say Clemson for some reason. Cincinnati can bounce back from that torn ACL. And maybe Micah McFadden in year 2 could give you some juice. At most, Cunningham would be a rotational linebacker for this team. You're not paying him big bucks. You'd be a 1-year veteran minimum deal. And he's a guy that used to stuff the stat sheet, kind of like a guy like Jalen Smith that was once on this team. In 2019 for the Houston Texans as well as 2020, he was a tackling sideline-to-sideline machine. Over 300 tackles combined in 2020 and 2019. 18 tackles for loss as well in that stretch. He's no scrub, but he's not as good as he once was. Sure, if he wants to take a 1-year veteran minimum deal, come be a training camp guy for this roster, I'd be down with it. But I'm more interested in seeing what a guy like Darian Beavers has on this team. Maybe you draft a linebacker in round 4, 5, 6, or 7. Maybe you see if Micah McFadden has any of that juice that a lot of people thought he had last year coming out of the draft. I'm not really in the market right now for adding a veteran linebacker. I understand why the Giants wire linked him, but I'm kind of over the players that are on their way out of the NFL. I don't think Landry makes a lot of sense. I don't think Cunningham makes a lot of sense. I think the other guys make some sense, but even Risner, I think the Giants want to go with a little bit more youth at that interior offensive line. I appreciate the list they put out, but we had to talk about it today and see if it actually made some sense. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to the show today. Remember, give me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. Let's talk some ball. Let's talk some Giants football over there.